There's a kind of family you don't choose by blood, and you don't always notice you've built one until you're the name written down on somebody's emergency contact card, right there under relationship, where you had to pause for a second because the honest answer, neighbor, didn't feel like it covered it anymore. I'm 44 years old. Every third Thursday for the last 8 years, I've driven 3 miles down Marconi Avenue to an infusion center that knows my coffee order better than some of my own friends do. I'm not related to the woman I bring there, never have been. She's not my mother, not my aunt, not anybody the law or blood would ever ask me to show up for. Her name is Dorothy. She's 83 now. In 8 years, through 2 rounds of treatment and a recurrence that nearly took her from us, I have never once missed a single appointment. Not one. Not through my daughter's finals week. Not through a kitchen renovation. Not even the week my own father had surgery 3 states away. People ask me why, like there's a simple answer. For years, I didn't have a good one myself. It took my own daughter, of all people, sitting across from me at our kitchen table, to finally put it into words I hadn't found on my own. It started on a Tuesday morning in March of 2018, and it started small, the way most things that end up mattering do. I was pulling out of my driveway, running late for a house showing, when I saw Dorothy standing at the end of hers in her robe, gripping the mailbox post like it was the only thing keeping her upright. I almost drove past. I want to be honest about that. My first instinct was that I didn't have time, that somebody else on the street would notice, that it wasn't really my business, but nobody else was out there. So I pulled over. She waved me off at first, told me she was fine, just a little dizzy, nothing to make a fuss over. It took some doing to get her to admit she'd had a doctor's appointment that morning, a follow-up on some test results, and that her ride, a friend from her old church group, had canceled an hour earlier, and Dorothy hadn't wanted to bother anybody else. "I'll just reschedule," she said, already turning back toward her house. I remember looking at my own dashboard clock, doing the math on how late I'd already be, and then just turning the car around anyway. "Get in," I told her. "I've got you." I had no idea what those 4 words were about to turn into. That first ride was supposed to be a one-time thing. I told myself that clearly, driving her home after, Emma's soccer pickup already looming on my afternoon, a showing I'd need to reschedule and apologize for. The diagnosis came back a week later. Breast cancer, caught late enough that watch and wait wasn't on the table. Dorothy told me herself, standing at my back door with a tin of the lemon bars she was always making from the tree in her yard, delivering the news the same flat, matter-of-fact way she delivered everything, like she was reporting the weather. "Anyway," she said, already moving to leave, "don't worry yourself over it. David's going to help figure out rides." David was her son out in Arizona. I'd met him twice in 10 years of living next door. I told myself it wasn't my responsibility to fill that gap. I had 2 kids, a husband with his own demanding schedule, a business that didn't pause for anybody. I spent that whole week telling myself someone else would step in, a church friend, a cousin, David flying back more than the holidays required. Nobody did. 3 weeks later, when her first chemo appointment came around and no ride had materialized, I found myself in her driveway again at 7 in the morning, engine running, telling myself this really was the last time. The infusion center smelled like antiseptic and burnt coffee, fluorescent lights buzzing low over rows of recliners, each one occupied by somebody hooked to a slow, dripping bag, most of them alone, headphones in, staring at nothing. Dorothy claimed the recliner by the window like she'd done this 100 times, even though it was her first. She made a joke to the nurse about the good parking spot, deadpan enough that it took the nurse a second to laugh. That was Dorothy. Dry humor even with a needle going into her arm, refusing to let the room get as heavy as it wanted to be. I sat beside her for 4 hours that first time, not entirely sure what I was supposed to do with myself. Somewhere around hour 2, she started telling me about Walter, her husband gone 3 years by then, and a fishing trip they'd taken up near Tahoe in 1974 that had gone sideways in a way that still made her laugh remembering it. I hadn't asked. She just started talking, the way people do sometimes when a chair and enough hours give them permission. I left that day with my hand cramped from holding a paper cup of water for her, my own afternoon completely gone, and a strange, unfamiliar feeling underneath the exhaustion, or something closer to purpose than obligation. I didn't examine it too closely. I just found myself 3 weeks later, back in her driveway at 7 a.m. again. David called me directly about 6 months in, the first time we'd spoken one-on-one. He thanked me, a little awkwardly, the kind of gratitude that comes wrapped in guilt somebody doesn't quite know how to name. He mentioned more than once how hard it was to get away from his job, how he wished he could do more, how lucky his mother was to have a neighbor like me. I told him it was no trouble. I didn't say what I was starting to feel, which was something closer to frustration than I wanted to admit. Not at Dorothy, never at Dorothy, but at the quiet arithmetic of who shows up and who doesn't, and how easily the ones who don't get to keep calling themselves family while somebody else does the actual work of it. Tom noticed the toll before I did. He started rearranging his own schedule without me asking, covering school pickups on infusion Thursdays, learning to make Emma's lunch the way she liked it. My business slowed that year, showings I couldn't take, an open house I had to hand off to a colleague. I told myself it was temporary. Cancer treatment has an end point. You just get through it. Dorothy went into remission in the spring of 2019. We celebrated with lemon bars on her back porch, and I remember thinking, driving home that evening, that the hardest part was finally behind us. I was wrong about that. I just didn't know it yet. The years between 2019 and 2022 settled into something almost ordinary. Checkups every few months, clean scans, Dorothy slowly becoming less like a woman I was helping and more like a fixture of my own family. At our table for Thanksgiving, when David couldn't make the flight, the one who taught Emma to make her lemon bars from scratch, sharp-tongued and endlessly present at every school concert and birthday party I invited her to. I stopped thinking of Thursdays as a favor I was doing. They just became part of the architecture of my week, the way Tom's Tuesday golf game was, or Emma's Wednesday practice. Some weeks I resented it, if I'm honest. A showing I lost, a vacation we scaled back because I didn't want to leave Dorothy without backup. I never said that resentment out loud to her. It didn't feel like hers to carry. David visited twice a year, usually for a long weekend, always a little uncomfortable in his own mother's house, like he could feel the shape of what he wasn't doing, even when nobody said it directly. He'd hug me too long at the airport drop-off, thank me too many times, and fly home. I didn't examine why I kept showing up. I just did. It felt less like a choice by then, and more like something that had already decided itself, years before I would have had the words to explain it to anyone who asked. The recurrence came in February of 2022. Dorothy called me herself this time, her voice smaller than I'd ever heard it, telling me the scan had found something in her lymph nodes, and she needed me to sit down before she said the rest. That year was the hardest of the 8. The treatment was more aggressive, the appointments longer, the drive home some days silent in a way our drives had never been before. There was a Tuesday in April I still think about. Dorothy so sick from the treatment she could barely speak, gripping my hand in the passenger seat the entire way home, and me driving one-handed, telling her over and over that we were almost there, even though we both knew there wasn't really the point anymore. She pulled through, slowly through the summer, then fully by fall. But something in me had shifted permanently that spring. Some old boundary I'd been quietly maintaining. This is generous, but it's not really mine to carry all the way. Finally, just dissolved. It was Emma who named it for me months later, home from her first year of college for winter break. We were driving Dorothy back from a routine follow-up, Emma along for the ride. And after we dropped her off, Emma sat quietly in the passenger seat for a minute before she spoke. "Mom," she said, "I don't think I ever told you this, but watching you with her, that's the thing that taught me what love actually looks like. Not the big stuff, just Tuesdays, just showing up." She wasn't looking at me when she said it, staring out the window instead, like she needed the distance to get the words out clean. I used to think family was just who you were born to. You kind of ruined that idea for me, in a good way. I had to pull the car over for a minute. I hadn't cried about any of it in 8 years, not once, not through the worst of the recurrence, not through any of it. I cried in that parking lot for reasons I'm still not entirely sure I can explain, except that somebody I loved had finally said out loud the thing I'd never once let myself need to hear. I think for a long time, I believed showing up for Dorothy was something I was doing for her. It took Emma's words in that parking lot to make me understand it had quietly become something else, too. She'd been watching all those years, learning what devotion actually looks like, when nobody's applauding it, when there's no ceremony, just a Thursday morning and a driveway, and somebody willing to turn the car around. I don't think you have to be related to someone to owe them your presence. I think sometimes the people who need you most are the ones nobody assigned to you. A neighbor, a coworker, somebody at church you barely know yet. And the only thing that makes you theirs is choosing, over and over, ordinary Tuesday after ordinary Tuesday, to keep showing up anyway. If there's somebody like that in your life right now, somebody just outside the lines of what family is supposed to mean, I hope this is your reminder that showing up for them counts. It's not smaller because it wasn't required of you. If anything, I've come to believe it might be the realest kind there is. Dorothy's 83 now, still sharp enough to correct my parking job every single time. still making lemon bars from the same tree Walter planted the year they moved in back in 1968. Her scans have been clean for 2 years. We don't talk about that too directly. Some things you just let sit quietly and be grateful for without naming them too loudly, in case naming them jinxes it. David calls more now. I don't know if that's related to anything I did or just time doing its own slow work on people, but he flew in for her birthday last spring, stayed a full week instead of a weekend, cooked her dinner himself for the first time in years I know of. I like to think that matters, even if it took a long road to get there. Emma's finishing her degree now, talks sometimes about wanting to work in elder care, something she traces back, half joking, half not, to all those Thursdays riding along in the back seat as a kid, watching a woman who wasn't her grandmother get treated like she was exactly that. Tom still covers pickups on infusion days without me having to ask. It's just ours now, the shape of it. The way a family's rhythms are just ours after enough years of living inside them. Third Thursday of the month, same as always. I pulled into Dorothy's driveway this morning, same 3 miles down Marconi, same coffee order already memorized by the same nurse who's watched us do this for 8 years running. Dorothy climbed in, complained about my parking the way she always does, and asked if I'd remembered to bring a jacket for the infusion room, because I never do, and she's never once let me forget it. Small talk, easy and unremarkable, the kind you only get to have with somebody after enough years of showing up that the hard parts don't need saying out loud anymore. I used to think I'd know someday exactly why I turned that car around back in 2018 instead of driving on to my showing. I still don't have a clean answer. What I have instead is 8 years, a driveway that feels like an extension of my own front step, and a daughter who saw something in all those ordinary Tuesdays that I hadn't even known I was teaching her. Dorothy reached over and patted my hand on the gear shift, the way she does every single time before we pull out. "Let's go, kid," she said. Same as always. I put the car in reverse and we went.